You pull that door shut for me. All right, guys, we're live. We're going to let it kick up here, let it grab a few of these viewers. See what happens. Of course, dude, I got to give a shout out. While we're bringing this up, Adam Savage is the first dude on here. He must be sitting at home with his Hungry Man meal right in front of him, just waiting.
Appreciate you, Adam. Thanks for tuning in, brother. Good stuff.
We're climbing 28.
Come on.
52.
Come on.
Hey, what's up, Chad Hoots from Lake of the Ozarks?
Big Chad in the house.
All right, Facebook world, welcome to the Wednesday version, day before go time, right, of the Angler Roundtable. We are at Wright Patman, Stop 2, presented by Progressive Insurance.
Oh, yeah.
We're calling this, the other night was Young Guns with some caveats, and this one is Texas, 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 Texas. 4 Texas guys, right? So super excited to have you guys on. We got your host, Mr. Fat Cat Newton.
What's going on, guys?
So B, let's get this thing going. We want to get these guys out of here. There's a little thing going on tomorrow.
Tomorrow could be more important than any other day because we don't know what's going to happen Friday with the weather coming in.
Yep.
So it's going to be big. So to my left right here is Travis Jewell. To my right here is Cody Graney. 2 Texas boys. We have a new Texas boy in the house coming out of Utah. But I want to start with Travis Jewell coming out of Utah, moving to Texas. How was that ride?
Oh, it's been a wild ride this year.
Yeah?
So we closed on our house in February. 2 days later was that deep freeze nobody had seen in 30 years down there. I was up in my attic space like National Lampoons, keeping everything from freezing up. I camped out in my attic for 6 hours that day.
Really?
Yeah, it was a wild ride, but so far we're loving it. Caught my first bass right here at Wright Patman.
Really?
Texas bass, yeah.
Awesome.
Got out on the lake.
What brought the move on from Utah to Texas?
You know, I have a company. We have multiple locations, and I have freedom and flexibility to move anywhere we wanted. And my wife and I, we came into Dallas a couple days after Christmas, drove through East Texas, and just thought Tyler, Texas was beautiful. It was right there near Lake Palestine, Lake Tyler, some really hour south of Fork, and an hour north of Rayburn. So
right on.
In the heart of it.
Give the folks some little background on Travis Jewell.
You know, born and raised Utah. I started bass fishing. You know, some of these guys have quite the resume. I started bass fishing about 11 years ago. You know, I bass fished my whole life, but professionally I started bass fishing about 11 years ago in tournaments. Kind of jumped in, you know, just without any kind of mentorship or any kind of training or anything like that. I just jumped in the front of the boat in the BFLs. Got my butt whooped a lot during those first couple of years. Was able to move out west, talk my wife into moving back to my homeland, and out there just fished a lot of club tournaments, crystal clear, smallmouth, mountain waters, and just
completely different from Wright Patman, huh?
Last year this time I was sight fishing beds in 15 feet of water. A little bit different than what we're doing here.
A little bit, right?
Yeah.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Cody,
Yes,
are
sir.
you born and bred Texas or what?
6th generation.
Oh, suck it now.
If
6th generation.
If we're going to have Texas night,
Yeah.
I think we rate it by how long you've been in
Oh,
Texas.
here we go. Typical Texan, it sounds like. All right, brother, give us some background on yourself, man.
Yeah, so I grew up in Central Texas, in and around Austin, and I had a small company I sold last year and moved my wife and my 2.5-year-old out to the country, out in the middle of nowhere, right in March of last year, I guess. And then, you know, the world turned upside down. But I didn't know any different because I lived out in the middle of the sticks now.
And you're in Texas, so Texas
And
is
I'm in Texas, baby.
right on.
12 minutes from the boat ramp and on a power plant lake that stays warm year-round, so those fish eat year-round. And so I get to fish year-round.
Nice. That's good living right there.
And it's good. It's good. So it's been good.
So being your 6 generations here in Texas, what's the background on Wright Patman?
The funny thing is, I had a buddy a
No, I'm just
year
kidding.
ago. I did. I know. That was funny.
You're good.
I can't stop. You shaved?
Yeah, man.
And, like, cut your hair?
I look so much better.
It's
Are you undressing me with your eyes right now, Cody?
No, that would be weird because I feel like we're brothers.
We are. Same size shirt. You wear a 4X like I do?
Yes.
Yeah, it looked like it. Yeah, you
Yeah.
fill it out well.
Well, thank you.
All right, buddy.
It's a little big. I lost
A little,
some weight.
yeah.
But
Proud of you.
I mean, it's like I'm looking in a mirror. I just want to tell you.
Stop it.
My mom's actually here.
I know.
She
She
came into
told me she was
town,
coming.
And
No, I'm
she
just
was like, she had some big news. I didn't know if that was it. But anyway.
Back to Wright Patman.
Wright Patman, yeah. First time I heard about it was a buddy down in South Louisiana told me that he went up to Texas and fished this awesome lake, took his camper up there, and it was the greatest fishing he's ever done. And I was like, well, where did you go? And he's like, Wright Patman. I'm like, I've never even heard of it. 6th generation Texan, never even heard of it. That was the first time, and I was like, okay, cool, yeah, sounds great. Thinking some little small,
Right.
podunk power plant lake or something, and then it shows up on NPFL schedule, and I'm like, golly. I instantly, wanted to call him and say, tell me everything about this lake that I blew you off about last year. But so that was really the first time I'd heard about it was last year, and yeah, I mean, he showed me pictures when he first told me about it, and giants, you know. And
Big Belly Kelly's coming up out of Wright Patman. You can believe that.
he said it was the easiest thing I've ever done. You just go
Well-
out there and you catch 6-pounders all day long.
How's practice been showing out for you? Has it been the easiest you ever done
It's
it?
been a little different.
Yeah?
It's been a little different.
Do y'all know each other, Travis? Do you know Cody? Cody, you know Travis? Just through NPFL?
Like 7 minutes ago.
Oh, we're 7 minutes ago. So we're all getting to know each other. Because I don't know you guys either. I just figured out who you guys were. So
We're brothers.
we are. Just found
I
out.
feel like I've known you my whole life, though.
Well, let's talk about practice.
Montel Williams show here.
I do have the connection, right? You are not the father. So let's talk about y'all's practices, man. Like, what kind of practice you been having out there, bud?
I've been watching this Roundtable the last few nights, and you're hearing these, big fish being caught, and I haven't seen one other than a 2.5 that accidentally got stuck with because one of my hook covers fell off.
Thank you.
My
Yeah,
style of
it's been a huge topic this week, brother.
where I cut my teeth, we could not hook a fish because limits are hard to come by up in those mountain lakes and back west, and so I'm just gonna go by their word that these are big fish, but I'm feeling them. They're feeling good and solid and getting some bites. So
Right on. Well, you just said thank you for him covering this. So, I mean,
Well,
is that going to play a big factor to this Wright Patman
I
fishing?
think it's going to be a huge factor.
Okay.
Just the number of bites that I saw from the first day. You show up, and I stuck one right off the bat, and I got a bite 2 casts later and went, uh-oh. Like, they're biting. We're done checking anything. And, did my best. I think I ended up seeing 3 fish all week, Sometimes it's inevitable.
Right.
I guess you could put a screw lock on or whatever. I don't like doing that because I think it changes the weight, and I got this whole
The presentation and all that, right?
Yeah, I think it
okay.
changes that.
That makes sense.
So it kind of weirds me out. But so I think that's a huge factor in this. And, Brad's been mad at me all week. He's like, yeah, don't quit saying that because I think it's going to take 50 pounds to win.
Oh, wow. Really? 50?
50 is it. And I think it's only going to take 30 to cash a check. Now, a guy may catch.
Are you sure you're talking about Wright Patman?
I know.
You're talking about 2
but
days.
But here's the deal: is a guy may come in with 12 pounds and have 2 fish, though. You know what I'm saying? I think
How you feel?
there's gonna be big swings.
Yes,
From
big swings.
what's going on out there is going to be fluctuations all over the map.
Yeah.
And one guy might just drop the towel one day, and one guy might just.
I think
blow
you're
him out
going
of the
to
water
see 24 pounds, and he's going to bring in 9 the next day with 2 fish.
Yep.
That's my theory. Now, I could be. If it doesn't happen that way, then I completely miss the boat. I'll go home with my 4 fish totaling 9 pounds and be
Are you
happy.
equating that strictly into the pressure itself, though?
Yeah,
I mean,
I think this lake has never seen that kind of pressure, and it doesn't just mean from us fishing. It's boat wake. These fish are trying to get shallow or do their thing or whatever, and you got boats blasting in and out of every creek and every arm and every nook and cranny. There's there's very few no wakes on the lake,
Right.
And when you got a 250 horsepower motor behind you, by God, I'm going to stand on it, and I'm going to drive all the way to where I'm
Hammer
going to
down.
go. And so I think, just that alone, a lot of banks were getting blown out just from boat traffic. All those things come into play, and these fish are just going, something's happening, and I don't know, how to react to that. So,
Everybody out there fishing the same pattern, everybody beating the shoreline up?
yeah, I mean, there's a few, things off the wall that may go on and may happen, and I'm hoping to run into one. It's the first time that usually I have one, like, random, bait that I just have some weird idea about, while I'm rigging up. Well, half my rods are that way this week.
Oh, really?
So,
What are you looking like? What's your
Every tournament I talk about, I just want 3 rods on the deck, and honestly, that's all I can have this tournament. I think it's just this morning we did that great little meetup at the horse riding.
Oh, that
with
was
the-
awesome,
with the
man.
kids. That was just an
running
amazing time.
WJ Ranch?
Yes.
Oh, you guys. Oh,
Yeah, the smiles on their faces was just something that makes this whole trip worth it.
Yeah,
and
man.
I didn't have much time between this and between the different things this morning and running around town, and I didn't have to rig that much, so it's kind of convenient.
Yeah, right.
So
Well, let's talk about those 3 rods and the hardware that you're going to be fishing, Wright Patman. Are you throwing top water at all, or one of those 3 rods top water?
I'll tell you, yeah, I've got some top water.
Okay, all right. Cody, are you?
yeah, I got all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
Set on.
What do you think? Is it going to be somebody swim jigging? Is it going to be somebody throwing a deck of just flipping? Can somebody win it offshore?
Possibly.
Okay.
Possibly. I mean, I don't know about how offshore,
Okay.
but I don't think you got to be necessarily hitting the bank.
How do y'all feel about somebody fishing a shad spawn? You think shad spawn will play a part here?
There's
I
been
think
rumors.
it's gonna count for some keepers
Yeah.
anyway.
Yeah, I think. I mean, unless that cold weather changed anything, there's I think the rumors are out there that the shad spawn's gonna happen. I didn't see it myself, but.
What do y'all think about where the tournament's going to be won? Do you think it'll be one in like the main lake area, or is somebody taking that chance running up the river going to win it? Can it be one up the river? Have either one of y'all tried up the river or what?
I think there'll be some big bags caught up the river.
Yeah.
I don't.
Have you tried up the river out?
So I came up here a couple of times. This is the first lake I fished in Texas, and I came up here before off limits. First day I went up that river and just kind of learning the way, because that's half the battle is learning how to navigate these lakes, especially where there's so many hazards here. And I hope everybody's safe out there because it's sketchy. There's a lot of areas out there with the dropping water.
That's going to play a factor in safety and fishing.
Yeah. Oh yeah, safety and navigating and getting to your spots and so I ran up that river and I didn't see a lot at that time that was worth it for me. I think personally that it's going to be one out in the main lake.
Okay, now go ahead.
Question.
Yes.
If you want me to hit it.
Bring it on,
I
baby.
didn't catch the name. And this is
Bobby.
So Bobby says, hey, you guys heard my spiel as a tournament director on how we're going to handle weather, right? With the possibility of having possibly only 2 days or a very shortened day to however that shakes out, we're gonna play it by ear. Does that change your approach? Does it change? I mean, what Mother Nature gets a vote, right? Whether you like it or not. Does it change your approach?
Me, absolutely. And I think your overall weights per day are going to be better if we get called off.
I was
for a
just going
day.
to say the same thing. Let them settle down.
Please.
Come, move around a little bit more. Just, it's that time off. I think that's key with our day off after these 3 days of practice. This
Well,
Monday day.
a lot of guys came off really early yesterday,
Yeah.
right? Like I had to
Well,
I run some errors, and like in a lot of these campgrounds, everybody was on the trailer by 10 noon, right? So
Well, for the folks at home that might not know the weather forecast for Friday, I was about to say let's talk about the elephant in the room and not myself. But the forecast for Friday could be.
You're my brother.
I know.
Just want to make sure you knew that.
Thanks, bud. So the weather looks horrible for Friday. The forecast keeps changing somewhat, but it has potential to be bad. And so what they're talking about is just having for going a 3-day to a 2-day. So you're talking to some guys in the 3-day tournament, they might not go out and catch all their fish if they have if you can catch 25 on Thursday, you might just catch 18 or 20 because you want to leave them there for the next day. Well, with this going into play, are you going to go swing for the fences Thursday, not sure about Monday, or are you going to be conservative with the tournament?
I think
Travis?
things are so up in the air.
Are you going to wait till you see?
variable. I'm going to get as big as a bag as I can that first day, because I think things are going to change with the unknown. I'm not holding back on that first day.
Cody?
Yeah, I've made this mistake time and time again about trying to not go to areas and not beat up my fish. Come to find out, half the time I didn't even have any fish that I was trying to protect. So I'm going to fish everything I have, and I'm going to fish it as hard as I can, and I'll figure out, I don't care what the weather does. If we fish, we don't fish, I'll figure that part out when that time comes.
Yeah, talking about this bad weather coming in, what's the worst weather y'all have ever fished in? You got any crazy lightning striking the boat and stuff?
We've all been out there in lightning storms. We've all had, my buddy Jay, who actually fishes National Professional Fishing League with us. He's been my buddy since kindergarten.
Oh, wow.
And one day we're out.
Now y'all are fishing the league together?
Yeah, we are.
That's pretty cool, man.
And he actually just bought a house in Knoxville. So we started this business together. We do radon mitigation systems. And, it's one of those things. But Jay and I were out on this boat. We've been fishing together in our radon vent wrapped boats all these years. And one day he's like, "Hey, what's that noise?" And he puts his rod up to my ear, and it's sizzling like bacon.
Oh, yeah.
I hear it, and he sits down. He's like, "I'm not fishing anymore." I just got on my knees. I'm kneeling, reeling, and just out there fishing. And, but we can't be doing that with a group of all of us.
Absolutely.
Somebody's bound to get hurt. And,
That's right.
And it's dangerous out there. So.
And ownership has already made it clear we're not playing games. If there's any forecast of white, anything like that, sorry, fellas, we're not. Some of the guys are like, "Oh, I want to go. I don't care." But we're not doing that. We're not going to put ourselves in a situation where we can take any chances of getting stuff messed up. Give me a crazy story, though. What'd you do?
Oh, I mean,
You outrun a tornado or something?
Well, a couple of them, but I kind of grew up doing. So my dad and I kind of learned how to fish together.
Okay.
So my parents divorced when I was young, and my dad, tried to find something for us to do together, and we went to a boat show, and I think I was 4 or 5. We went to a boat show one afternoon, and next thing you know, he ordered a boat while we were there, a 16-foot mean 15 champion bass boat, and we learned to fish together. I think we had 2 fishing rods between us, so we had to buy tackle and figure out this whole bass fishing thing. And so every year on my birthday, he would take me out of school if we had school, and we'd go fishing. And it seemed like for a 10-year span, every year on my birthday when we'd fish, which is May 6th, if anybody's in my address, you can get it from Brad. But we would go fishing, and it would be a storm would roll in that day. Every single year. And I remember being young and saying, "Hey, Dad, why is your hair standing up funny?" And it's that same thing,
Yeah.
And he's like, "What?" And then, he's like, "Why is my line floating?" And then he kind of clicked and went,
Son, it's time to go.
Yeah. And I'm like, what is going on? I don't understand.
You touched on something a second ago, Travis, when I was talking about pressure and everything, how where you used to fish real clear water, the bites were tough. How big of a factor is pressure going to be here at Wright Patman, and then what do we do to avoid that? Are you fishing where everybody else is fishing? Do you think you'll be fishing behind people? Are you somewhere where people will be fishing behind you? Then how do you deal with that type of pressure?
I'm a little bit of
Being you're kind of used to it sounds like.
Yeah, and I feel like
and yourself, Cody.
I shake my worm a little different. I'm a lure tinker, and I think I feel like I can go behind people. Over when I was before off limits, there was a local tournament going on, and there were guys that beating the bank everywhere. That the first day I was out there, and then I came a few days later after they beat it up, and I felt like I was getting plenty of bites that time, and it was different. Things have changed obviously, but I don't feel. I mean, pressure is going to be a thing. But I'm not afraid of guys circling around. I think that, I can get the bites. You
could be circling around him, making him eat his words, or what?
Well, I mean, it's such a weird game. A lot of it, 90% of it's mental when it comes into that whole fishing around everybody else.
Yeah, so when Bobby pulls up behind you where you just fished and you turn around and see him pull that 5-pounder out.
Right, and it's not. It's the same way when you fish a pro co deal and the co-angler catches a 6-pounder right behind you or whatever, And I'm just now getting to a place in my fishing, I guess, maturing in my fishing enough where it doesn't bother me like it once. I mean, it used to eat me a lot. If my co-angler caught a 4-pounder behind me, my day was done.
Really?
My day was done. And now it's to a point where it's like, check this out. I'm about to catch a 6-pounder. I'm going to shove that 6-pounder in
Well,
your
the mental
face.
game is the biggest part of
It's
this whole
all it is.
Elaborate on that.
all
The
it
mental games, like
big time. I mean, for me personally, you know, I see these guys that fished the tour. They're coming. They raised a family. Now they're coming back in. This is like the cool thing about this league. A guy like me who's wasn't taught bass fishing by anybody came on board, and I'm competing with these guys. But I feel like a fish out of water, you know, in a group of some pros sometimes.
Fish that are out of water.
And fish
We're
that
all
are
out of water.
And you know, sometimes your mind, you get spun out. And if you don't believe in yourself, you're not going to make it out there. And you need to get that confidence. But I treat it just like I have other things in my life. I kind of say I'm the quintessential Indiana Jones. You know, I can jump in the plane and learn how to fly it. You know, nobody taught me how to start a business. Nobody taught me how to bass fish. Nobody, you know, I just bought 3 heifers and I have a horse. Nobody taught me how to be a farmer. Now
I got my first 2 cows like a month ago.
There we go.
Maybe we're brothers.
We are brothers.
Maybe we're all brothers.
what brought on the horse? You decided to get a horse? Like you were just on the internet and saw Facebook Marketplace. You got a horse for $100? Like, is it a Clydesdale or what?
I never planned on buying a horse. I never planned on buying a farm. But we did. And my kids, it's great for my kids because I have an 8-year-old and an 11-year-old. I mean, that's the real reason, you know, the quality of life. But
That's cool, man.
The house we bought, this really cool lady, her husband, she just took care of the property. Her husband had Alzheimer's really bad. It came down worse. And she sold us everything. She threw in the pregnant horse. We had a foal. What? We had a foal 3 weeks ago. And
Did you just learn what to call it?
So I'll tell you the name. So he's walking on 3 legs right now because he has an infection in his hock joint, and I think he's gonna make it out. My wife just visited him down there at the vet in Kilgore. But anyways, we named him Swayze. And
Swayze?
My wife's in love with Patrick Swayze.
She ain't the only one.
But I think it works well because he kind of sways when he walks, too. So
Right.
I wanted to call him Tripod at first. But they didn't like that. Didn't think it would be a good name. So
You got cows? What brought that on? What's going on around here? We got petting zoos or what?
I accidentally bought
I've
them
been
in
there before.
accidentally bought them in an auction, a fundraiser. I raised my hand too
Okay,
many times.
yeah, there we go. Accidentally?
Yeah. And then I worked up this whole idea of my 2.5-year-old daughter that I try and buy like one meaningful gift for her birthday instead of a bunch of toys or whatever. We have this thing, we try and buy one meaningful gift. Well, her first birthday, she got a 20-gauge shotgun. I mean, that's what every 1-year-old needs.
yes.
Sure.
You need a 20 gauge.
Yeah.
And then I bought her 2 cows for her second birthday. Right? I mean, you got to learn how to raise cows, I guess.
I like your style.
So
What's going to be on birthday number 3? Is you getting a unicorn?
I had to rent a trailer, maybe,
Daddy's princess.
but I had to rent a trailer to go pick these cows up, and then I'm so used to leaving the front gate open that they only lasted on our property for 11 hours. And currently they're at the neighbor's. He's taking great care of them. So
Thank you. Well, being you guys are
so
into,
we get to wave at them.
you guys are into all. Go ahead.
And being bass fishermen, you know, you need lawnmowers.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the cows make excellent lawnmowers.
Oh, and fertilizer, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. I was wondering what that smell was. So, with that being on, you guys are so familiar with wildlife these days. How what's the snake life like on Wright Patman? Because I'm hearing like some anacondas out there. Have you guys seen them yet? Because here's the deal with Wright Patman. You guys have been watching. You guys already know. Full of bushes. A lot of these guys are fishing that bush pattern, overhanging, and these guys are going to be flipping it. They're going to be getting up in it. Some guys are going to be getting real aggressive in these bushes, and Wright Patman is known for the snake population. Have you guys witnessed any of this going on?
I've seen several drop down in the water.
From the bushes that you're
And Indiana Jones about jumped out of the boat and swam off there. But no, I keep getting snags out, and I go in these bushes, and I realize I didn't even check for snakes before that.
Yeah.
And then, you know, I need to remember that. But speaking of getting in there, I got a tick on me a couple days ago, and I think it came from one of these trees out there. And my buddy Jay, who's camping with me and traveling with me, he took the tick out with 2 steak knives.
Oh.
Pop that thing out of my back.
Got the whole thing out though, right?
So snakes,
good.
ticks,
Yeah, I got poison ivy.
Oh, well.
I got poison ivy after the first day. I came back and I was like,
You're supposed to stay in your boat though. How did you?
Well, I was in my boat.
You were up in that
My
thick.
boat was trying to stay with me. And
Any run-ins with snakes?
Yeah, absolutely. But the same kind of thing. Like, that first day I do a lot of stupid stuff in practice. I'm like pulling myself through stuff and then break out in these hives and realize it's poison ivy all over my arms from tearing through stuff. But then having that same thought, like, dude, I didn't even look if there were snakes, and I like reached through this vine branch thing to pull my boat around. Like, God, what an idiot.
Look, folks, we're going to wrap it up with Travis and Cody. But before we go, tell the folks at home where they can follow you at and thank anybody or say hi to anybody you like to, Travis.
So, I would like to thank first of all, my wife and kids. Macy, Molly, my babies, thank you so much for the support. I actually had Macy running the trolling motor during pre-practice while she's 8. She loves running the trolling motor while I just flipped every tree and bush I could around here. Love to thank my family, Jackie. Thanks for taking care of the heifers while I'm gone. And Radio Vent, all the crew that supports us at home. We're here with Radon Vent. We want to encourage everybody to understand and learn about radon gas and how it comes into houses. Second leading cause of lung cancer. It's an invisible radioactive gas that comes into houses, and we install systems that ventilate it from the house. Gary Yamamoto Baits, iRod, Aftermath Outdoors, and you can find me on Travis Jewell Fishing or Travis Jewell Fishing on Instagram. And I'm not on the what's the other one?
TikTok?
TikTok. I'm not on the old TikTok.
Too old for TikTok?
I think so.
Yeah.
How about you, Cody Graney?
Yeah.
Where can they follow you and say hi and thank anybody you'd like, brother?
I'd like to thank my wife, my daughter for being my biggest cheerleaders, my family back at home that, follow everything I do. But Keystone Bank as well. You want a personal connection with a bank in Texas. Keystone Bank is somebody to check out, so check them out. Also, Kids Outdoor Zone, a youth outdoor ministry for boys, geared towards boys without fathers. They train men in churches to take boys hunting and fishing. So you want more information on that, kidsoutdoorzone.com. And then, you can follow me, Cody Ryan Graney, CodyRyanGraneyFishing.com.
Was there Cody Graney was already taken?
No, I
just had to add your
my
middle?
mom and dad gave me a middle name,
extra,
so
isn't it?
I use it like a normal person.
Tell them where to follow you again because I messed that up.
CodyRyanGraney.com. You can link up to my Facebook, Instagram, all that stuff.
Cool, man. Appreciate you, fellas. Travis, thanks, brother. Good luck
Thank you.
tomorrow. Cody, good luck, man.
Thank you, brother.
Brother.
All right, guys, we're going to take a short break. Get these guys out and get our next 2 guests in.
And while we're waiting for these guys to come on again, remember, TNPFL.com is where you can watch all 21 hours of live coverage from 13 cameras on the water Thursday, Friday, and Saturday with Luke Duncan, David Dudley, yours truly, Fat Cat Newton, and also starting something new, YouTube. You can watch all the coverage YouTube live at the National Professional Fishing League's YouTube page. And I mean, nobody's setting it. Remember, follow Fat Cat Newton on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, MySpace.
All right, guys, we're back. We're going to get this next segment started. Very happy to have this presented by, this event is presented by Progressive Insurance. Great sponsors on board, like Fully Loaded, the Bass Tank.
We're going to see
Big
some
Bite
fully
Challenge.
loaded live Wills this week. I can promise you that.
Oh, Luke's going to be mad at you.
Oh, I
bro.
stole it. I said it first.
Luke's going to be mad. He was so proud of that.
I think it's
And,
great.
you just ripped his thunder.
Hey, man, it's all good.
All right, man, let's do this.
Danny Weems, Mark Schilling. Am I saying that correct?
Yes, sir.
All right, listen. First of all, we're going to get to you in a second, but Danny Weems, tell the folks at home a little bit about you.
Okay. Well, I started fishing back when I was a kid, just like everybody else,
Yes.
fishing in ponds and just fishing the banks of Central Texas. Grew up down at Lake Whitney. And,
Born and raised Texas?
Yes,
Okay,
born and
yes.
raised Texas. My family moved up by Lake Fork whenever I got into high school, and so I continued fishing through my early 20s, and then got into growing, or working and starting a business. And so I kind of got out of fishing for about 15 years, but been back into it. Started fishing pretty heavily back in 2015, and fishing FLW, some bass opens and stuff like that, and then got the invite to fish this, and just happy to be here.
Glad to have you.
Glad to be here.
Mark, give us a little background. Mark, give us a little background on yourself.
Well, I was raised here in Texas, born and raised.
Right on, brother.
My dad got me in fishing when I was really young. I remember the first time was in Galveston, going down a pier that I thought I was going to fall through.
Really?
And caught a sheep's head, and I was hooked. And then our family, my mom's side of the family, had a big ranch in Terrell, Texas, and that's where I caught my first big bass. I was 7 years old, caught a 6.5 pounder. Still have it mounted in my.
Are you serious?
I still have
That's
it mounted.
cool, man.
So that's when I got hooked. I started fishing. I always fished ponds. I never had a boat. And then I bought a little John boat when I was 16.
Okay.
Kind of worked my way up. And then
Would you say work your way up? You start fishing tournaments at 16?
No.
Okay.
I didn't
You
fish-
worked your way up to a bigger boat?
Yes.
Oh,
okay. So
okay.
I bought that little boat, and then when I moved to Dallas, I graduated from college. I bought a 18-foot champion, and I kind of worked my way up.
Champion.
Then I started fishing media individual tournaments in Dallas, and I won Angler of the Year. And at the same time, I sold my first construction business and thought, man, I'm ready to go full time. And I got the apple pie my first year out there. I sponsored myself. I didn't have any sponsors. I went out for almost 2 years on tour, and it was very humbling. I was almost broke, and I was driving back praying and talked to my mom on the phone. She said, it's hailing here. And I had a construction business, and I had a roofing business. So I called up my old partner, and I said, we're starting a roofing business again. And, man, I got back into the roofing business, and I've been doing that. And now I'm at a point in my life where financially I can go out and sponsor myself again.
That's awesome, man.
So
I'm glad you chose NPFL to come to and do that.
You know, I fished. I'd been out of fishing for 20 years, really fishing seriously. And last year I fished four of the opens, the Central Opens, just kind of getting my feet wet again. And then I met a guy named Jewell on tour on the NPFL, and Joel told me all about
Willard?
the NPFL. Yes.
Okay, yeah.
Joel was the one that told me about it, and then Jake
Appreciate it, Joel.
Joel and Jake told me about it, and I called up.
Both great guys.
Yeah, and I called up Brad immediately, and Brad said, send me your resume, and here we are.
That's awesome, man. Well, here we are, and it sounds like you're starting this new venture off differently than last time because you did very well at Eufaula. Let's talk a little bit about Eufaula, how you figured out Eufaula, and just that you did well.
Never been to Eufaula. I didn't know anything about it. Trinette and I went out there, and
Trinette's your wife?
Trinette's, yeah, to be. She's my girlfriend right now.
There we go.
So we went out to Eufaula, and we went before the off limits, and it was cold, raining, fishing was terrible. But the last morning I was there, I went up shallow, and they were schooling everywhere. I mean, 4 to 6 pounders. They were busting, and I was every cast. And I called Trinette, and I said, if these fish are here in the tournament, I'll win it. And I went back pre-fishing. I was so nervous. I was like, I don't even want to go over there. I don't want anybody to see this. Like, I know there was locals over there. I know this is not a secret hole. And so I went over there one morning. There was no one over there, and I just kind of went over there quick, and I made one cast, and one fired on it. I made a second cast and just thumped it. And I shook it off, and I left. And I started there day one, and unfortunately the fish went to 2 pounders. The 4 and 6 were gone, and there were a lot of smalls. But, I mean, I caught almost a limit there every morning. And then Saturday when we went there, the locals were there.
Right.
And so I got one fish, I think, there, and I just said, hey, I've got to go do something different. I have had Panoptics on my boat for a year, but I'm not proficient with it like John is.
Yeah.
So it's hard when the money's on the line to go out there and put all your faith in Panoptics. It's easy to do it when you're out with your buddies and go, oh, look at that, there he is, and you catch him. But
right.
When the money's on the line, that's hard to do.
Yes, sir.
That's why you got to give so much props to John. But I did it, and that's what I did the last day. And if you remember, I saw you on the water the first day, and I told you that I'd caught a 7 on that spot.
Yeah, I remember.
And I caught a couple of small ones, but nothing big was there. And then that last day I went there, and You didn't hear it.
No.
Maybe you heard it, but I was saying, "Fat guy, there's your fish." And I threw over there. I saw him on the Panoptics, and I threw over there. And about the third jerk, man, I hung that 6-pounder, and then I ran back there like 2 hours later and caught one almost 5. So it was kind of that little magical tree that had a couple good ones on it.
Right on, brother. Well, that's a good way to start the first tournament of the season here at the NPFL. But
fantastic.
Here we are, stop number 2. We're on Wright Patman. What kind of experience do you have on Wright Patman?
Well, I live about an hour and a half from here, but I've never been here except for in the, I guess, the last weekend before the cutoff. I come up here for 2 days.
When it was about 12 foot higher?
It was, and I fished for 2 days and never had a bite.
Oh.
So I was relieved when I come back for the official practice to have quite a few bites. So it was a whole lot better than it was in pre-practice. But, I try to relate this to fishing other lakes around here. Lake of the Pines is right down the road. And, I don't know. It's going to be I think it's going to be anybody's game. I mean, the local guys have I think they have an advantage because they know areas that have produced in the past.
Right.
But, just like you've been hearing everybody else saying how they've, caught 18, 20 pounds in practice. I haven't hooked any of them, so I don't know. I hooked one fish, and
Now, is that something? Was it your first fish that you hooked, or
it was my first bite I had.
That's a
hooked it.
common trend
And
I
it
hear.
was-
You guys want to hook the first one, and then
It was about a 3-pounder, I guess, and it was just fat pre-spawn. And so the rest of the time, I mean, I would go for hundreds of yards and not have a bite. And then you might have 3 or 4 bites in a row. And so the fish that I found are grouped up, and there wasn't any need for me to set the hook and burn these fish and just wait and see.
Seems
we'll
like
see
that-
what we have tomorrow. I don't know.
that whole hooking them, practicing and hooking them, especially here, seems like this could play a big thing. How's your practice been going, Mark? Is it similar to Danny's, or?
Yeah, very similar.
Yeah.
I've hooked 4 fish since I've been here.
Okay.
And they've all been good, 4 to 6 pounders. And then I've just shook off everything else. I mean, Danny's right. I think this is a fantastic lake. I think it's full of a lot of big fish. But as Cody was saying, I don't think it's ever seen 100 guys here. If we fish 3 days straight, I think it's going to put a lot of pressure on them. And everybody, I think there will be some great bags weighed in, but I think it's going to be very hard to duplicate a 20-pound-plus bag 3 days in a row.
And the 3 days of practice.
And the 3 days of practice
it's a week long or a week of pressure on them that they haven't,
Of over 100 anglers that know what they're doing.
Yes.
Right.
Beating on them. And not everybody is doing what you guys are doing. Just
Oh, that's right.
so what's going to be a bigger factor, the weather, the water condition, or the pressure on the fish?
I think the pressure on the fish.
I think so too. I think with the water dropping, it's making it a little tougher. It's pulling them out. In some areas, that's going to be great. It's going to pull them out to the right bushes. In other areas, it's going to pull them completely off the bank, and guys are going to have to catch them out of the bushes. So we'll see.
The last 2 guys, they were talking about 50 pounds. 3 days, 50 pounds, right, Patman? I don't think that there's a such thing, is it?
I got a text earlier from one of the reporters wanting to know, my opinion on
Yes,
it.
sir.
And I think I told him 52.
Oh,
to 52.
wow.
So, I mean, I was kind of right in there with what they were
Okay.
saying.
That's just based on the pressure and what you're seeing? Like just
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And I think 30 pounds will get you a check. 10 pounds a day.
Mark, come on, chime in.
If we fish all 3 days.
The unknown, let's say the weather plays out and we get to fish 3 days. The unknown is how hard is this lake going to be hit with the pressure of us on day 1 and day 2 and then day 3 if guys can even get a limit. I mean, that's the reality. I think 60 is going to win it, and I think 38, 39 will get a check. That's my prediction.
Now, with that weather coming in, that storm coming in, supposedly with the weather forecast, say when you guys arrived here for practice to now, has your game plan kind of changed of how you're going to approach day 1? Or like from swinging to the fences, or you could be conservative? Because as of right now, we don't know what's going to happen on Friday. Whether are we fishing all day? We got the weather. Like, is the weather Friday in your back of your mind? Like, are you preparing differently because of not knowing if we're fishing Friday or not?
Not really. I'm gonna catch as many fish as I can tomorrow and bring in as big a bag as I can. If it's 12 pounds or 22 pounds, I'm gonna keep fishing. So, kind of like Greery was saying earlier, you know, he's been burnt by trying to manage his fish and stuff.
Right.
You know, I'm going to just fish and catch as many as I can tomorrow.
You going to go out there and swing for the fences or what, Mark?
Man,
That's all you can do?
I got a 3.5 hour run, so I'm only going to have an hour to fish.
Oh, let's talk about that. You said what?
I'm just kidding.
Because I have that's
I'm just kidding. I don't know this lake. I live here in Texas. Just like Cody, I never even heard of Wright Patman. When I saw it on the schedule, I was like, Wright Patman, and I had to start researching. Like, where is Wright Patman?
how'd the research go? Because it was not a whole lot out there,
There
is
was
it?
nothing. There was one tournament here, and I think if you look at some history, when Yoder won, I mean, what was it, 16, 18 pounds, something like that, a 15 and a half, 16-pound average. So, you know, I know that was a while back. I think that was 10 years ago or 8 years ago. But the fish are here. It's just the longevity of can it pull it out. And for me, tomorrow, like Danny, I have marked where I've got multiple bites, and I'm just going to run them. And if I run through them all on day one, I'll run through them all. If there's still some left, I'm just going to rotate. That's where the fish seem to be.
Brad?
So you guys have alluded to it. So I get it. Big bags are out there, but repeating those big bags and those fish succumbing to the pressure. Look, man, is there a 30-pound? Is someone going to bring in? What's the likelihood of a 30-pound bag?
I think it's very possible.
Just explain why, though.
Well,
Danny.
there are big fish in this lake, and
Is there a good population of sizable fish?
I think there is a decent population.
How many have you caught under 14? I'm sorry, Brad, but lead into what Brad's saying. Like, have you caught a bunch under 14? Because like you're saying, it sounds like that population, they don't have 14 inches out there.
Like I say, I only seen one fish.
Gotcha. That's right.
And then I let the rest of them just bite. I don't know if they was 14 inches or if they was 5-pounders.
According to some of these guys, when I haven't seen them, they can just tell how much they weigh by the tug on the line.
Right. But no, I think, I think the possibility of having a 30-pound bag is very possible. But the trick is trying to back that up. You know, I think somebody could catch, just like everybody else said, I think they can catch 30 pounds one day, or it's possible. And then, might struggle to catch a limit the next day. So,
we were saying 30, 18, 12, if my math is correct. You know what I mean? Like 30, 18, 12, that declining pressure bag, but 30, and then a 9, and then a 15. Like, we feel like from the production side, we have production meetings today talking about all this. It's going to be all over the place.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Like 3 fish for 18 pounds is absolutely possible. I've seen more 6-pounders this week in photos and stuff that's been shared with production that I've ever seen anywhere else. I mean, I'm being dead honest, not to hype this thing up, but this seems like the population. I'm curious, you guys being out there in the water, seeing the environment, seeing where these fish live, what's your estimation, because there's nothing out there, on the population of this lake?
Go ahead, Mark.
I don't know much about the lake. I just know that when I'm getting bites, they're quality.
Right. We're going to know tomorrow, right? Like tomorrow.
We're going to know. I mean, the 4 I got are all 4 to 6 pounders. So just say if that's an average of 5 pounds and I get 5 of those, that's 25 pounds.
Well, even what I'm also hearing, too, about guys that aren't hooking, they're not sticking them, they're still saying that some of the fish aren't letting go of the lure.
Oh, they'll hold it for 10 seconds.
Yeah, I've seen that too. They're very aggressive, and they are very reluctant to let go,
Hard to shake them off. Like, if you're not, you literally have to be fishing without a hook to be able to even have a chance of shaking them off. Is that a fair? And
that's fair.
Can you talk about? I mean, my mind is, why is that? We were talking about sort of, right? Be like, why are they so mad at it? Like, or hungry? Like, there has to, for them to be that size, there has to be good forage.
Yeah, because I'm not a professional angler. But just in my mind, thought whenever I fish for bedded bass, they don't pick it up and run over here. They might grab it by the legs or whatever, get it out of the bed, and they're going back to the bed. So, like, in my mind, like, what are the, like Brad was saying, why are they so aggressive?
I don't know.
What's going on?
I wish I knew. I've been kind of wondering that myself, because they are more aggressive than most spawning fish that I've seen. So, are some of these fish that are doing that, are they post-spawn? I don't know. I would think so. I imagine some, there's a pretty good mixture of pre-spawn, spawning, and post-spawn.
So far enough out of that post-spawn where they're in the feed-up mode, right?
Yeah,
they're
exactly.
they're rehabbing.
Exactly.
It's
not that they're just moving it off the bed. It's that they're trying to feed.
They're ready to eat.
Yeah, they're ready to eat.
All 3 phases you think as well, Mark?
Well, when we came here before the off limits, everything I caught was pre-spawn, and it was fat. And we've had such a funky season here in Texas that I would suspect we still catch a lot of pre-spawn to spawners. But the 4 that I hooked were all big, and they were all post-spawn, and they were aggressive. One of them ripped the rod out of my hand. I tried to shake him off. He literally ate my bait at the boat and exploded on it. It scared me. Like a peacock bass explosion.
Ooh.
That's
That's
how
that
aggressive,
good right there.
That's how aggressive these bites are. I mean, there's no mess. You don't lift up and go, is that one? You know.
Right. It's donk. Right.
It's a thump.
What's this tournament going to show the world about Wright Patman, Danny? I'm just curious about, like, what is it going to, like we said, unknown, right? We happened across this place. Very glad to be here. The city of Texarkana has been phenomenal throughout the week.
Oh,
We're
my
super
gosh.
happy to be here, and this isn't the last big tournament that will come here.
Right.
What's that mean? What are we going to show the world about Texarkana this week, and the city of Texarkana and Wright Patman?
It's going to show them what it's got. I mean, it's going to show exactly what kind of fish live here and what kind of possibilities of stringers that you can see. I think it's going to bring a lot of good attention to the area. And, like you said, it won't be the last big tournament that's here.
Oh, no. We done got onto something over here in the city of Texarkana. I could tell you, Wright Patman, they about to get familiar with Wright Patman. Like, what do you think? Like, do you think that this tournament's going to bring some eyeballs to Wright Patman after our tournament?
No doubt. I think there's going to be a lot of people that are just weekend fishermen, and they want to go fish a Great Lake. And there's a lot of lakes in Texas that have 3 to 5 pounders, but I'm telling you, Wright Patman has some toads in it.
Well, I think, you look at OHIV, Pines, Choke, like some of those. This lake, to me, from what I've seen, from all the video and the footage, all that, it's a really shallow water deal, right? Like it's flipping bushes up there, combat fishing.
It's combat,
right? I'm not real familiar with a lot of the Texas lakes, but is this an outlier? Is this different, Danny, or is there a lot of places like this?
I'm not familiar with many others like this. I mean, like you said, it's a predominantly shallow lake, bushes all the way around it. This thing looks fishy all the way around, and so. I am not used to fishing a lot of lakes like this. Lake of the Pines is similar up in the north part. Parts of it kind of look like this, but no, I've never seen a lake that looks just like this.
And has them.
That's
right.
right.
You know what I mean? Like,
that's right.
Like the thing it showed me, and we talked about this the other night. This place if we don't get to fish a day of the tournament, something happened. What this place has them, I will say it undeniably. Would you guys agree with that?
No doubt.
Yeah. Oh.
So you want to know what I think this reminds me of? I fished a lot of times, 20-plus times in Mexico. This reminds me of flipping bushes in Mexico.
Oh.
I think that if we weren't here and this was a weekend that guys just came down here Danny and I came down here to fun fish, we'd smash some flipping bushes if they didn't have pressure. And I think that's what's going to happen is after we leave here, the regular fisherman's going to come out here and have a blast. It is combat fishing. I heard yesterday on a podcast the guys talking about
What podcast?
well on y'all's.
Okay, I was about to say. I thought they were talking about our competition.
No, not the competition.
Square table.
No, when you had the other
Paul
had
Clements.
the other table yesterday with the guys, and they were saying, "Man, if I'm on camera, I don't know what's going to happen." Because,
Oh yeah, because that's
here's
go
the
ahead.
truth. I flipped a lot, and I'm not by any means a great flipper. I can't skip like Dudley and all these other guys. I'm just going to say it right now. And if I'm on camera sometime during this, they're going to laugh at me if I pull out a spinner rod to get up under a bush that I know one lives. But I'll do it. I don't care. But I'm
what's
telling
the backside?
Yeah, well, how are you getting it out of there? Because that's the problem I'm hearing. So the guys want that water up in
I'm
there.
not sharing my secrets.
Oh, here we go. What about
tell
you?
you?
Yeah, go ahead.
I fish the coast. If you can catch 20-pound redfish on a spinner rod, you know how to fish a spinner rod.
Okay.
So-
okay.
So you know how to horse them out with a
So
spinner rod.
you got like a 4,000 or 5,000 reel down in there with.
I'm not saying that.
You can pull a surf rod out. What about you, Danny? And that tough, what they call them, buck brush, and other guys have called it iron brush or iron. I've heard.
Right. That's what I've heard, yeah.
They're talking about how tough it is. I'm talking about, I've had guys tell me that their line gets wrapped around a teeny little branch, and you are not breaking it.
Right. Yep. I've had to take my braid and tie it around the cleat of my boat and pull it to
Really?
break that. Yep.
Yeah.
It is some tough stuff.
So and you're hearing guys skipping all the way up under there, and like,
Well, and you're talking about the guys that are, like I was talking to a guy earlier that's from North Carolina, and he was talking about, skipping under boat docks and stuff. Well, this is totally different because skipping under a boat dock, you're just skipping across top of water. Well, here you may have to go over a limb and under a limb, and really get tricky to get it back in there. So, I think the key is going to be having multiple rods rigged up and ready to go, and you flip it up in there, and you backlash one, or you have to break off, then you just pick up another one and go on and fix that at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So how active will our – so we run on about a 4 to 5 second delay so we can hit the button.
this is a question I had earlier off camera. Yeah, go ahead. Great question.
That's like if when you go in the production facility in Wisconsin, it's off to the side. Like you've got to reach for it. They've got that thing centered up right this week. So beep. Is it going to get? Are we going to need to get 2 buttons? Like, is it going to be worn out?
You better bring some WD.
Because we're going to have some wind too. That wind blowing, you always flipping with braid and different things, huh?
That guy will not get a restroom break. Right. He will have to have a relief guy to take his place because I'm telling you, the last day of practice, it was blowing 15 to 25.
Oh boy.
And you would make a perfect pitch in there, and as soon as it hit the water, the line would blow just a little bit and catch one of those little tiny branches.
Yep.
And then you start to shake it, and then it catches on another one, and it's done. And now your boat's blowing sideways. It's frustrating.
You guys heard us ask this question. Will those elite guys, like I'm talking to dudes who are magical with a rod in their hand, right? Like very precise. Yeah, well.
Like Fat
Cat.
Cat.
Like
it's
Fat
family
Cat.
friendly. Yeah.
Right.
But he's not our competition.
Right. Is it gonna like will the guy who wins this be one of those guys?
Do you have to have those casting skills to win this tournament?
I think it definitely help, but I don't know that that's necessarily going to be
The thing.
Right. I mean, I think that this lake has so many big ones that somebody could land on them and, not necessarily be the one that gets it back in there the furthest. And that's just my thoughts.
No. What do you think, Mark?
I mean, I think the guy that can cast really good and accurately is going to have an advantage, no doubt. And that guy is going to get the bait in the right place because that's what it's about.
Because you guys talked about consistency, right? Like over time. Like I agree, Danny. I think I could go out there and just flip the right 5 bushes and catch 26 pounds.
Right.
But to do that over 3 days and have the highest probability of success, I think it plays. If you can't tell where my mind is,
Yeah.
I think those guys who are really good with a jig or a Texas rig, getting it where they want it,
Or frog.
over the period of a tournament, have a distinct advantage.
Huge.
Yes.
Now, could you go out there and land on them 3 days in a row? Hey, man, I've always said when it's your time, it's your time, right? But
Well, and with the water receding every day that we've been here, it's been falling, I don't know, a third of a foot a day.
It was 228.5 when we pulled in the door, and what is it? It's down 227 something.
227 and a half, something like that.
Right on.
So, that's pulling them fish out that was way back in there. That's receding that water line. So it's getting easier and easier. You don't have to go back as far from what I can tell.
Are the bass here, being as that water is fluctuating, receding, where do those bass spawn at then? Like with that water dropping, is that going to affect the spawn?
I feel like there's a lot of them that are holding off going to spawn right now, and they're waiting for the water to stabilize. And so, kind of the wild card is coming with this rain and storm that coming in Friday. If that's going to raise the water back up a couple of foot, it could be really tough fishing on Saturday.
Well, touching on that, when we talked to Dalton, he was saying, and Dalton is the Corps
Corps of Engineers.
Right. Very familiar with the reservoir and everything. And he was saying that his boss, old timer, said if it rains here at Wright Patman, it will not affect the water. It's when it rains north of Wright Patman. That's when. So that's going to be a factor, too, looking to see if we do get that storm exactly where it hits. And like you were saying, that water fluctuation could definitely mess with us, right?
Oh, yeah. So I think Saturday would be very tough if we get a lot of rain Friday.
When big bag of the day is going to be caught, big bag of the tournament will be caught what day?
Tomorrow.
Yes.
Yeah.
And this could be what?
I'd say 25 to 29.
Yeah, I'm right in there. I'm going to say 28.
28.
Yeah.
What's big fish going to be? Can we break? Can we get a 10-pounder? Is it going to be double digits? Like you said, I know you guys haven't seen, all of it.
Right.
What? I don't know much about. Look, What are you grinning about, Mark?
889. There you go.
Oh, okay. What do you think, Danny?
Yeah, I'm gonna say 10. I think we'll see a double digit.
Okay.
Yep.
That's what I'm talking about. Dang. What's he going to be caught on?
Something flipping, some kind of beaver style plastic.
What are you flipping?
Some kind of soft plastic. from V&M baits.
Okay, there you go.
There you go.
What, don't give me your juice, but like, what are you flipping? What you got going on, Mark?
Those that know
They're
me,
watching, so don't say too much.
Those that fish with me know that I like to put that trolling motor down and go.
Okay.
So this is a challenge for me. This is teaching me how to slow down, maybe power pull down a lot more than I normally do. So if that tells you something, I got a flipping rod in my hand, and I'm fishing slow.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've talked to some of these guys. I get a weird vibe because we just talked about the storm coming in. Sounds like some of the guys would almost rather fish 2 days. Like because what they're talking about is giving that Friday a day off for the fish to break.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that for a second. Like, what do you guys think about skipping Friday? And, like, as far as, is it going to help, hurt, or what?
Well, like Danny was saying, if we get all that rain, it's anybody's guess on what the fish are going to do.
Let's
but
say
if it's normal conditions and it's just high winds and we cancel because of tornado warnings and so forth, I think that a day rest will help. I really do. I think this is a smaller compound that if there's not the pressure and it gets a day off, we'll go out and smoke them again.
Yep. And that's why I think tomorrow is going to be the best day because they've had that rest today.
And then they're getting beat up on all week. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So that little break.
Exactly.
So you're running down a shoreline. You're fishing brush. And then Mark comes in right here. Because I really think fishing pressure is going to be a thing this week. How will you deal with fishing pressure this week when guys get a little close? Not putting you in a weird position, but I do think that guys are going to get to know each other pretty good this week. How do we deal with something like that? Are we expecting that here because of just how it seems to be fishing small, or are you going to be a little bit more lenient?
I think I will be more lenient than I would. I don't like it, but I think that's just part of it. And you've got to, everybody's got to get along. Obviously, I'm not going to go and cut off somebody right in front of them. Now, if it's 100 yards down the bank and they're, like Mark was saying, he's fishing slow, I'm fishing very slow too. So it takes me a long time to get down a bank. So, I don't think that if somebody, pulls up 50 yards down the way, that's not as big a deal here because I am fishing so slow. So, I think everybody has just got to kind of give and take and just be more
like how much of it is
lenient.
communication though, Danny? Like you pull in on Mark, like, hey Mark, can I get on this bank? You know what I mean? Like that goes a long way, right? Just saying, hey man, can I get on here with you somewhere?
Right.
Like, man, I'm fishing so slow, give me 50 yards and we're good. Or give me 100 yards. That I've always thought that went just so far towards how you approach that situation.
Absolutely.
Right. Yeah, it's going to go a long ways, just being nice to one another. And, most of the time if you ask somebody, hey, you mind if I fish over here, they're going to say, no, go right ahead. So,
So far, the first tournament in this organization, everyone has been a great team player.
Dude, so
It's
the vibe.
The vibe here is amazing. Everybody is very friendly. You see each other on the water. Everybody's courteous. I noticed that when we're in pockets, guys aren't just blasting out, blowing water on you. They idle past you, or they'll stay on the I'll stay on the trolling motor and get around someone before I fire up my motor.
Is that going to change though? Like
as the season goes on?
Now we've got an AOI ranking. Like guys know where they stand. There's guys who have cut checks and guys who haven't. Like I hope it doesn't. I mean, we're trying to foster that environment, but does it change? Does it get a little stickier down the road?
It could, but I feel like we have a really good group of men with integrity, Christian men that just I think they're going to work together. We're all competitive, but we also have to be respectful of each other. And I think something that you've mentioned, when I was younger in my career, I wasn't that guy. And as I've gotten older, I've learned to communicate. And I think a lot of guys are that way in this organization. And as long as we communicate, everything's good. If someone wants to fish in front of me, as long as they say something, jump in front of me, 2 boats in front of me, and start fishing in front of me, that's not cool.
No eye contact.
Because that's when you're going to go right in front of them and do the same thing.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Right? We've all done that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, we have. I'm sure we could all tell stories that we probably shouldn't tell about dealing with that kind of stuff on the water. But I think we're about to wrap it up, right? That's going to be all she wrote. Mark, tell the folks at home where they can follow you and say hi or thank you to anybody you would like to, bud.
Well, I have a media team that was with me on the first event. We're getting ready to launch that first video. It's going to be amazing. You're going to see some great footage, about a 30-minute video. So that'll be on our Mark Schilling on Facebook, Mark Schilling Fishing. I just want to give a thanks to Trinette, who has been so supportive. She's been on the road with me. Coach. She mentally keeps me. Man, it's a grind mentally. It's a grind physically. And she's up with me at 4 in the morning, making my food for the day, keeping me prepared. It's amazing. I want to give a shout out to my mom, who is back with my company at home, keeping things running. I want to give a shout out to my SEI roofing team that is pulling together to work as a team, because we're all a team. I've taught them the team mentality, and they're keeping things rolling at home for me. I just want to thank Mercury, and I know I'm forgetting a couple other people.
I'm sure you're going to have an opportunity to thank them again.
TNPFL.
Right on, brother. Appreciate you. Danny Weems, man.
So I'd like to thank my wife, Linda, for letting me do this.
Smart man.
She doesn't sleep well without me home, so I usually get to hear about that the first 2 or 3 nights. Like to thank all the guys at Cross Country Communications. They take care of everything while I'm out on the road. Dobbins Rods, V&M Baits, Sarton Marine, Falcon Boats, Mercury, just all the people that have helped me and support me to go out and do this. Danny Weems Fishing on Facebook, and trying to get more into the social media and stuff. But,
great.
That's it.
Make sure y'all follow Danny Weems and Mark Schilling, man. I'm Fat Cat Newton. I'm your host of Roundtable, and that is a wrap for the last Roundtable here. We might do another one. Who knows? We might get crazy.
Hey,
we don't know.
Where can they watch us at, B?
Yeah, we're about to go there right now. TNPFL.com and YouTube. Listen, tomorrow, live coverage starts. 21 hours of live coverage Thursday, Friday, Saturday with Luke Duncan, David Dully, and myself, Fat Cat Newton. So go to YouTube and watch it live, and go to TNPFL.com. Tell all your friends, tell your mom, tell your daddy, and kiss your babies and hug your mama, and 24/5